Hello and welcome back to another episode of this week's watches. And this week, like every week, we have a great variety for you guys and girls. We have some amazing Fizz watches that are pre-owned. We have just this back row alone is incredible. The selection from an Omega to a Tudor to a Grand Seiko, and obviously everything in between, as you can clearly see. Some really great options and quite a large drop at 14 watches as well. So there really is something for everyone at all price ranges, which is what we obviously strive to achieve here at Kibble Watches. And each week we seem to be doing that, which is really, really great. We may be reducing the numbers in the drops over the coming weeks. I know this is something we've spoken about many times, and the drops just keep getting bigger and bigger, so we'll see how things go. But yeah, really excited to bring the watches on the table to you today. And last week, another fantastic week. I want to thank you all very, very much. We're recording this on Thursday. Obviously goes up on Saturday, so the week just gone as you're watching this has been really great. Obviously we've still got today and tomorrow, so let's see what it brings. But before we dive onto the watches on the table, what's on wrist, I'm wearing a really cool Squale. This is the Super Squale as it's known. Just a great looking watch and something I'm really enjoying, and I think the build quality at the price range is just undeniable. Beads rice bracelet, vintage styling, vintage design. And interestingly, we have the Tudor Black Bay 58, which I think offers all of those same things, but elevated to obviously a whole new level, or higher level, I should say. And that's what sort of demands the higher price tag as opposed to something like this Squale, but really great nonetheless. So yeah, that's all the rambling out of the way. Let's crack on with what you're here to see and let's get on with it. Let's start with, what are we going to start with? Let's start with the Grand Seiko. This is absolutely awesome, known as the Skyflake. Definitely up there as one of my favorites. The Elegance line in general is one of my favorites. And I think this is absolutely beautiful. The dial is just spectacular. So let's take a closer look at this one. So to begin this week's episode, as I said, an absolute beauty with the Grand Seiko Skyflake spring drive, as it's known as. This is the SBGA 407G, and this one's from July 2022 with its box and papers. It is in worn condition, but to be honest, there's barely any signs of wear. The previous owner very gently and very lightly wore this watch, clearly in rotation of other watches as well, so it's remained in very good condition. Beating away behind this exhibition caseback, that is a sticker still on, by the way. That is the spring drive Grand Seiko Caliber 9R65, which features a power reserve, which you can see over there on the dial. As we wind the watch, which you can do with a spring drive, by the way, you can see it starts to power the watch. Now this watch has a beautiful dial. The textures are just incredible. This is one to definitely see the photos on the website. The finishing to the hands as well with Zaratsu finishing, which is basically the same finishing they do on samurai swords. So it creates this beautiful high quality and high finish on the edges, which very few brands can actually replicate to this standard, and it's kind of incredible that Grand Seiko can do it at this price point. I think it's really something. So yeah, really beautiful watch. Definitely one of the favorites for me among Grand Seiko. The Elegance GMT is probably up there as my favorite, but this will definitely be running pretty close to it. Let me know what you think down in the comments, but let's show this one on the wrist and talk dimensions. And here we go, comfortably on my 7-inch wrist. As you can see, it fits perfectly. What you're looking at is 40mm by 48mm lug to lug, only 13mm thick and 19mm on the lug, so a little bit awkward, but to be honest, this strap pairing works perfectly in my opinion. And if I'm not mistaken as well, there is a bracelet option that Grand Seiko can provide that fits this watch. That might be something to look into, but either way, a beautiful watch, well worth considering if you're in the market for something like this. So go check it out on the website today. From there over to a Omega Aqua Terra, part of the Seamaster line. Probably one of the most underrated lines in the Omega lineup, along with the Globemaster, in my opinion. This is an absolutely beautiful watch with the blue highlights and just a great overall design and fit and finish as well. So let's take a closer look at this one. Next up, Omega Seamaster Aqua Terra in blue on the blue Omega strap with the pliant buckle. Really great looking piece, definitely up there in terms of the Omega lineup that is often overlooked. The Aqua Terra line, I think, is the equivalent in my opinion, of the Oyster Perpetual line from Rolex. Granted, you obviously have a date here, so you'd think that would be more of a date just, but I really feel like this is the OP line in terms of just being really good quality, very core line, very, very sort of well priced in my opinion, and when they become pre-owned like this, the price is even more undeniable. I won't bore you with the reference to this one, as always with Omega, super long reference, you can go see that on the website. This one's from November 2022 with its box and paperwork, as you'd expect, and beating away inside, behind that exhibition caseback, is the automatic Omega Co-Axial caliber 8900. Co-Axial is something pretty much exclusively used by Omega. Obviously a couple of other brands do use it, most notably Roger Smith, but then he has every right to, obviously working with George Daniels back in the day to create the escapement. George Daniels is the one who invented and perfected, or some would argue perfected, but he definitely created the coaxial. An incredible person, and Omega took it on and have continued to use it till today. Again, just a beautiful looking watch, nice pops of blue. I really like the highlights of baby blue that you see with the second hand and around the reholt as well, or the outer ring. It just works so well. They show this one on wrist and taut dimension. Again, this is where this watch really shines. It works so well on the wrist. There is bracelet option, so you can get a bracelet from Omega if you so wish, but there's something quite nice about the design on a strap. I think it tones it down just that little bit more. So 41mm by 47.5mm lug to lug, 13mm thick and 20mm on the lug, so endless options for swapping out if you so desire. But to be honest, this strap pairing works so well. So go check it out on the website today. Next, we're on to a classic, Tudor Black Bay 58. We almost always have one or two in stock. It's definitely something we try to do, so if you do have one for sale, let us know. We do get offered them a lot, so the price has to be right, because obviously we always try and price right when it comes to selling as well, so therefore we can't pay you above market rates if we're going to charge at the bottom end of the market rates, as we always try to, so do keep that in mind. But yeah, really great watch. Let's take a closer look. Next up, the Tudor Black Bay 58 in black. It's hard to find, in my opinion, a better dive watch for the money. Looking at under £2,500 for one of these, and if you want the blue, it's even less. I just think it's incredible, and it will be amazing to see how they develop with this line and the things they decide to do. I think a lot of people are holding out for potentially the Tudor Black Bay GMT in this case format, and when that happens, I think it's definitely going to take off. There's going to be no question about it. So the reference to this one is the 79030N, and this one's from September 2018 with its box and paperwork, and beating away inside is the automatic Tudor MT5402, one of their first in-house movements, a very good, very reliable movement with a super high power reserve as well. Comes paired on its bracelet, all of its links included, super comfortable, very good design, and again that's another feature once they upgrade to their latest clasps that have the glide lock. I think it's going to revolutionize this watch for many people as well. I'd be interested to know down in the comments, what do you think actually rivals this at this price point in the dive watch genre? I'll be really interested to hear what you guys think. But let's show this one on wrist and taut dimensions. And here we go on my 7-inch wrist. As you can see, a good looking watch and great proportions, and that's the reason why so many love this watch. At 39mm by 47.5mm lug to lug, only 12mm thick and 20mm on the lugs, so endless options for swapping out onto rubber straps or even leather, whatever you wish. But to be honest, for me, the bracelet is where it's at for this design, so go check it out on the website today. From there, let's go over to the fears, and we have 3 incredible fears on the table, 2 special Brunswicks. We actually have a Brunswick Brown. As a lot of you know, I sold mine a little while ago, and the gentleman who bought it has owned and enjoyed it for a little while and chopped it in. As collectors, we often do that because there's always something else on the horizon. So right here, we have the incredible Brunswick Brown, and this was my personal one. So kind of great to see it again, kind of sad at the same time, but I'm sure it won't last long. So let's take a closer look at this one. Next up, the Fears Brunswick Brown, as you can see with that beautiful brown dial with two-tone, which just works so well. A very good looking watch. There's no question about it. This watch was limited to 5 pieces total for the 175th anniversary of Fears, and it sold out pretty much immediately, and I was one of the lucky 5 to originally have owned this watch. They're amazing. This came out, well, this one was from April 2021 with its box and paperwork. It's 3 straps included, so the goat's leather, the buffalo bund, and a NATO strap as well. As we flip it over, you can see the engraving with the numbers stated. We did have the brown taken out of the case back on this one, as you can see. And inside is the manually wound ETA 7001. So as I say, limited to 5 total. I know where all 5 are, which is quite interesting, and we've sold a couple over the years, as most of you will probably know. So it's interesting to get this one back as well. We'll see how long this one lasts. They've never really stuck around that long, and I suspect this one won't either. A great watch, a great looking piece, and for me on Strap Tailor Brown Suede, it is the perfect pairing, and it just works so well. And again, personally, for me, this is the best Brunswick they've made, because the dial is just, it's the perfect mixture of all the different things. Nicholas at Fears is doing a lot of raised applied numerals, which look fantastic. And then obviously the first Brunswick with the white was all printed. This is kind of in between, you know, you have these 3D effect numerals, but they're not quite the big, thick applied numerals, and they're not quite flat printed either. It's that nice in between, and that's the reason I really like this one personally. But let's show this one on wrist and taut dimensions. And there we go, paired on my 7-inch wrist, as you can see. A good looking watch, but of course I'm going to say that because it's one I do regret, but at the same time I'm not in a position to add it back to the collection, unfortunately. Maybe one day. But what you're looking at is 38mm by 42mm lug to lug, just under 12mm thick, and 20mm on the lug, so endless options right there. But to be honest, the strap pairings it comes with are fantastic, but I would recommend picking up a brown suede from Strap Tailor just to add to it as well. So go check out this watch on the website today. Next, over to the Fears Brunswick Jubilee edition. This is the royal purple, as you can see. Really beautiful watch, very striking, and I think that's what's really interesting. You know, you have the brown and you have the purple next to each other, the same watch essentially, but 2 very different colors, and they look completely different in my opinion, and they wear completely different as well. So let's take a closer look at this one. Next up, you have the Fears Brunswick Royal Purple Jubilee Edition, as you can see. Probably Fear's most striking watch they've made yet, in my opinion. And this is what I was talking about when we were looking at the brand. You can see this has beautifully applied 3D numerals, which really stand out and catch the light, which I think contrast perfectly against this royal purple dial. You have the syringe hands, sub-seconds down there at 6 o'clock. The same Fears DNA and design that you expect, but with this sort of pop of flair with the purple. It won't be for everyone, that's okay, and it comes paired on its original purple strap. However, there is a really nice grey strap as well, which I think works so well in toning this watch down and making it much more wearable for most people than maybe this purple on purple would be for most of you. I could be wrong on that, but for most people I think wearing it on the grey is what they will do. This one's from December 2022 with its box and paperwork. As we flip it over behind the quality check or quality control sticker, you can see a nicely engraved case back, and I'm hoping this becomes maybe something a bit more usual for Fears with the sort of casebacks. They put this extra bit around the outside. I just think it looks really attractive and a very good looking caseback as well, and obviously still leave the space in the middle for engraving if people wish. Beaten away inside, ETA 7001, a great and reliable movement with endless future serviceability, so you really cannot go wrong there as well. But let's show it on wrist and taut dimensions. And here we go on my 7-inch wrist. As you can see, it's definitely out there. It wouldn't be my usual first pick, but on wrist it's actually really nice, and I think the purple looks fantastic. So just like before, what you're looking at is 38mm by 43mm lug to lug, just on 12mm thick, and 20mm on the lugs. So endless options. The grey, in my opinion, is what I'd quickly swap it onto, and I'd definitely enjoy wearing this piece myself. So go check it out on the website today. And the final watch on the table, a very good looking piece, a classic. This is the Fears Archival 1930 two-hander from, well, with the date 1972 on the back. For those of you who don't know, they were limited, and the number on the back was in relation to the year of how long Fears has been running, basically, and they put each one as individual. So there's only one 1972, one 1997, so on and so on. So this one's 1972 two-hander Archival. Really great piece. So let's take a closer look. Next up, the Fears Archival 1932 hander as opposed to the sub-second model that they made far fewer of, but altogether these were limited to not a lot of pieces at all. So this is number 126 and the range, as you can see, is 1972. So if you are born in 1972, here's a great little birth year nod for you guys or girls out there. Really great watch, really great proportions based on a vintage model from Fears, and interestingly inside this they actually used a manually wound ETA 2360. These are vintage movements that were new old stock and brought back to life, basically stripped and reconfigured to work for today. Some modifications were done, but yeah, really great piece, very clean, very simple dial. And I did see on Instagram the other day someone actually put one of these on a mesh bracelet. I have to say that looked incredible. It was something I never would have thought to do personally, but with these straight ends it works so well and looks fantastic. So if you do pick this up, I'd recommend maybe getting a mesh bracelet just to try it out on and see what you think. It comes paired on this really beautiful oxblood red leather strap. I have one of these personally and it ages very nicely, sort of develops a very light patina. My favourite buckle from Fears to date, a vintage style with Fears in vintage script as well. Just a great looking watch. So this one's from August 2021 with its box and papers, and it does come with an additional Fears strap, which again really tones it down, makes it very t-shirt and jeans kind of watch, whereas on this strap it dresses it up slightly, but you can still wear it however you wish, of course. So let's show it on wrist and taut dimensions. And there we go on my 7-inch wrist. There's no denying how good this watch looks. That vintage styling just blown up a little bit to modern proportions. Nothing too crazy at all. So what you're looking at is 22mm by 40mm lug to lug, around 9.5mm thick and 20mm on the lug. So endless options, but one well worth checking out on the website today. Now on to the only vintage watch on the table. We have a beautiful Seiko Chronograph. This is the Mono Pusher. This one's from 1965, the reference 5717-8990. A really great looking piece, and again, price-wise, it really is incredible. So let's take a closer look. Next up, we have the Seiko Mono Pusher Chronograph. A lot of you guys and girls will be familiar with this model because we have sold them in the past. They always attract a lot of attention, and rightfully so. This is sort of the chrono stop of the Seiko world, but maybe done better, dare I say it. So this is the reference 517-8990, and inside is a manually wound Seiko caliber 5717. This one has a really nice case back that is still nice and clear. You can really see everything. Oftentimes these get faded down, just from general wear, of course from polishing as well, but usually just from wear rubbing against the wrist over the years, because these were never particularly that deep of an engraving. So for this one still to be nice and visible is always a great thing. So obviously you have your crown over here just to wind as normal, and you have your pusher. So it's a 1-minute chronograph, meaning it will go round and round and round, and obviously you can only time a minute. You can actually stop it and see what time it is, what time you've set it, and reset as normal, all done through one pusher, hence the name Mono Pusher. You have a friction fit bezel which does rotate, as you can see, and you have a date which is also quick set, which is really handy. This watch is from circa January 1965. It doesn't come with any box or paperwork, as you'd probably expect, and the dial does have some patina or wear around the outside, as you can see. I kind of like it. It's quite attractive really, but you be the decider of whether you like it with that or not. Paired it on a nice brown suede strap, which I think suits it really well. But let's show this one on wrist and taut dimensions. And here we go on my 7-inch wrist. As you can see, a very good proportion on the wrist at 37mm by 44.5mm lug to lug, only 11mm thick and 18mm on the lug, so endless options. I really like this one on suede, brown, black, whatever you want to put it on. I think it looked great, but obviously pair it on whatever you would like. The strap is the least important thing and the easiest thing to change, so don't worry too much about that. But go check out this watch on the website today. From there, we've got some Seikos on the table and some really great offerings as well. We're going to have to start with the beast, and that is the Marine Master right here in black. A very good looking watch. And built like a tank. There is no denying it. This is a true tool piece. So let's take a closer look at this one. Next up, the Seiko Marine Marine Master, this absolute beast of a dive watch, which is a true tall piece. As you can see, you've got the beautiful black glossy dial, black bezel, that vibrant gold on the second hand and the dial, which contrasts beautifully, and it's paired currently on its unworn and fully stickered bracelet. Now, the watch is worn, and the watch has been worn. However, it's been worn on a Crafter Blue rubber strap, which is this strap company that make fitted rubber straps specifically for this model, and you swap over the clasp. So you can use the push pins to remove the clasp from the bracelet, and you attach the clasp to each end of the rubber piece, and it fits perfectly. Very interesting way of doing it, and again just creates a really good look. We have all the details on the website, and it does come with its original rubber strap as well, so do check all that out. But this is the SBDX023. It's quite important to sort of research your references, because they make many different references of the Marine Master. But this one, for some reason, usually is one of the most affordable, even though it's pretty much exactly the same proportions, same movement, same everything like that. So I would highly recommend picking up this one as opposed to the ones that are usually far more expensive. Inside this is the automatic Seiko caliber 8L35 behind that case back. This case is monocoque, and what that means is it's made of one piece of metal, so you cannot open that case back. So to get to the movement, you have to go through the front. So you have to take the bezel and crystal out, remove the dial, and then take the movement out of the case, and you can access the movement. So that's what monocoque means. So just a little bit of fact for you there, I guess. This watch is from 2021 with its box and paperwork, so that show on wrist and taut dimensions. And here we go on my 7-inch wrist, not 7-inch watch, 7-inch wrist. This is a very comfortable watch. It is a big watch. It is thick. You're probably not going to get any jacket cuff over this, so do keep that in mind, but it is surprisingly comfortable considering the size, and that's something that I think people are often shocked by. So what you're looking at is 40.5mm by 43.5mm by 50mm lug to lug, 15mm thick and 20mm on the lugs, and this one's from April 2022. Sorry, not 2021, I was looking at the wrong one. So April 2022 with its box and paperwork, so go check out this watch on the website today. From there to the 62 MAS Reedition, one of my favorites actually from the modern Seiko lineup, and again, offering for money or value for money, there's no denying how great this is. It's built like a tank as well and offers fantastic design, but of course I'm going to say that because the 62 MAS is definitely up there as one of my favorite vintage dive watches. So let's take a closer look at this one. Next up, a future classic in my opinion from Seiko. We've had multiple of these in the different references, colours, special editions, limited editions, you name it, we've probably had it, and still this is the classic in my opinion, and the one that looks the best, with the slate grey dial, the nice matte black bezel which contrasts beautifully, and just the overall design is fantastic. And I like that it comes on a bracelet, although personally I'd probably still wear it on a black rubber, maybe a tropic of some sort. But this is the SPB143J1, and inside is the automatic Seiko caliber 6R35. Behind that, as always, nicely decorated case back. As I say, this one does come on its bracelet with all of its spare links, a nice milled clasp, and nice solid links as well. This is definitely a step up from the usual stuff we see from Seiko, in my opinion. I think it's far better. So this one is from 2021 with its box and paperwork, but they show on wrist and taut dimensions. And here we go on my 7-inch wrist. Not a huge lot to talk about really when it comes to this, because the price point I think speaks for itself for how much you get. I would really consider this if you are after a great dive watch that you can truly use as a dive watch, but also something that looks great that you can wear in the office or to work, and it's just going to be reliable and keep going pretty much forever. I think this is the one. 40.5mm by 47mm lug to lug, 13mm thick and 20mm on the lugs with drilled lug holes, so nice and easy to swap out as well. So go check out this one on the website today. From there over to a Seiko Turtle. This time it is a US special boutique edition, which just looks fantastic. Really, really beautiful, very interesting dial. And that's what I really like about the Turtles. They have these unique dials and unique designs, and this is definitely one of them. So let's take a closer look. Next up, we have a US special edition Seiko Turtle, as you can see, with a beautifully textured blue dial. The nice patterns, as you can see. It has an English and Japanese dates disc. I personally, whenever there is Japanese, I like to keep it on the Japanese. I think it just looks so cool. You have a blue sapphire, blue ceramic, crystal. I'm getting all my words muddled up today. So blue ceramic bezel and a sapphire crystal on this model. So it's actually part of the King Seiko range. And I thought that the King Seikos always had the double Cyclops, but clearly not anymore. And I'm kind of glad about that. I don't mind the Cyclops, but it is much cleaner without it. A great looking watch, that's for sure, and a really, really cool piece. It does come on its bracelet, which is stickered, and the bracelet is unworn. The watch is worn, but very, very lightly. And this one is the reference SRPH59. Inside is the automatic Seiko caliber 4R36, which, as you can see, if we open it up gently, he says as he pulls a bit of the plastic off, we can put that back on, it's not a problem. Nicely decorated case back with the turtle right there as well. The one thing I really love about Seiko is that they embrace their nicknames. So for example, this is the Seiko Turtle, as commonly referred to by collectors. As you can see, we'll put that back on now. So commonly referred to by collectors as the Seiko Turtle, and they embrace that. They put a turtle on the case back. They often actually have little stickers on or display tags in the display boxes at the retailer saying all the nicknames, which again I think is really, really cool. So this one's from 2022 with its box and paperwork, but let's show on wrist and taut dimensions. And here we go, rested against my 7-inch wrist. As you can see, the turtle always fits incredibly well, and it is a big watch, but it wears so well, super comfortable, and one to totally try out if you've never tried before. What you're looking at is 45mm by 48mm lug to lug, 13mm thick and 22mm on the lugs, also with drilled lug holes to make strap changes a breeze. This one also comes with a additional rubber strap from Seiko in the box as well, so worth checking out. But go check it out on the website today. And from there over to a turtle next to it. This is part of the Save the Ocean lineup. You guys and girls would have seen this watch before. We've had them over the years. This one, we haven't had this specific one, but we've had this model multiple times. It always sells very well, and the price is just ridiculous how affordable these are. So yeah, I don't think this will last long. If you are interested, I'd head straight over to the website now and just snap it up whilst you can. A classic Seiko Special Edition Save the Ocean, a really great looking watch with a gradient blue to black dial, just like the ocean depths, which is basically what they're trying to emulate here. I think it looks really good. Blue bezel as well. Day date, of course, as you'd expect, but the bezel itself is actually black, and as is the crown, which I think is a nice little contrast. Not something you typically see on the Seikos, but again, a nice little touch. Nice case back as well, beating away in size the automatic Seiko caliber 4R36, a movement we've all become accustomed to within the Seiko lineup. The reference to this one is the SRPC91, and this one's from circa 2020 to 2021 with its box and paperwork, as you'd expect as well. Often with these Seikos, the warranty cards come unsigned because the retailers don't usually sign them for whatever reason. I've experienced this myself multiple times when buying Seiko brand new at retailers. I often have to check and then ask them to do it. And some places have actually said they don't do it because you have the receipt. So it's kind of amazing why they even bother. Well, waste of paper at that point, but hey. It is what it is. But yes, great watch, great looking piece, paired on its original Seiko rubber strap, which is super comfortable and very, very supple. As you can see, it just bends and folds around your wrist. But they show on wrist and taut dimensions. And there we go, comfortably on my 7-inch wrist. I have owned so many Seikos at this point, or the Turtles I should say, that this is definitely one of my favourites to wear in terms of case size and proportion and how they look. So just like before, what you're looking at is 45mm by 48mm lug to lug, 13mm thick and 22mm on the lugs. I'd be keeping it on the rubber strap or buying an aftermarket bracelet option from Uncle Seiko or any of the others that you so desire. It always looks good. But go check out this one on the website today. Next we have an unworn Boulder Venture Singularity, all black. It's basically a completely black watch, and they've almost done what Moser did with their Venta Black, where it was like no light escapes it. They've really tried to capture that, and they've done very well, to be honest. It's a good looking piece, and I think it's very interesting. If you're into all black watches, this is certainly one to consider because you can't really get much more than this. So let's take a closer look. So next up, the Boulder Venture Singularity Titanium All Black, as you can see. Singularity, obviously, well, not obviously, but in reference to the black hole and the Singularity events, right there, as you can see engraved on the case back. Very cool nod, and to be honest, it makes sense with the overall design. You have the vibrant pop of orange for the hand so you can actually see what's going on. Screw down crown, as I said, titanium. That's something to keep in mind. You do have a brand new bracelet. The watch is unworn, as you can see, so ready to go and be enjoyed. Now this watch, I don't believe is limited edition or special edition, but it has been limited to 3 batches if I'm not mistaken, and the 3rd batch has not been done yet. And each batch is sold out immediately as far as I'm aware. Correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments, but I believe that is the case. So as I say, references Venture Singularity inside automatic Seiko NH35A, and this one's from 2022 with its box and paperwork. Something to keep in mind is the box is actually a travel case, no longer a box. I like it that brands are starting to do this. I think it's more beneficial than a box that usually sits in a cupboard and you have to remember to keep just in case you ever sell and people really sort of care about them. Cases are better because they're usable and you can actually, take them with you, and it's just less wastage, so I'm all for it. But let's show this one on wrist and toward dimension. And here we go, rested on my 7-inch wrist, a very good looking watch and very comfortable as well, especially if you like the all black design. Not everyone does, but that's perfectly okay. So what you're looking at is 38mm by 44mm lug to lug, 12.5mm thick and 20mm on the lugs, so endless options. But to be honest, I'll be keeping it on the bracelet myself, so go check it out on the website today. From there to a WMT Royal Marine Blue, a very good looking piece as well, and again super affordable. I like what WMT do. Some people give them a hard time, but I don't see why, to be honest. I think if you're after this kind of design at this kind of price point, they're fantastic options. Obviously if you want the real deal, you pay a huge amount more, and at the end of the day it doesn't say Rolex or Tudor or anything like that on the dial. It says WMT. They're not trying to pretend like there's something they're not. So I think they're very good value for money and great watches. So let's take a closer look at that one. Next up, the WMT Royal Marine in blue. This is actually based on a vintage Tudor Submariner, often referred to as the mini sub or the midi sub, the 36mm. With the design. So they actually didn't make this in the 40mm, which I think is quite interesting, whereas WMT have brought it up to 39mm for this reference, and again bringing you that design in a case you wouldn't have had and a size you definitely wouldn't have had, and even if they did, the price range would be insane, as we all come to expect. But a beautiful design, great looking piece, and again for the price point you really can't go wrong. It's got a faux riveted bracelet, just like the Tudors do, with screw links, and there are spare links and nice options on the clasp, which is always good to get a comfortable fit. Nicely decorated case back. Inside is a automatic Miyota, and this one is the Royal Marine from November 2021 with its box and paperwork. Not an awful lot to say other than you are getting so much watch for the money, and WMT are producing constantly really great homage watches, and I'm all for them. I've owned multiple and will continue to own multiple over the years. So let's show this one on wrist and toward dimension. And here we go on my 7-inch wrist. Great design at 39mm by 47mm lug to lug, 14.5mm thick and 20mm on the lug. So go check out this one on the website today. And last but not least, another Timex Snoopy. After the previous ones did so well, we managed to get another one in. This is the Peanut Snoopy Secret Agent. As you can see down there at 6 o'clock when we take a closer look. Again, value for money. They're a lot of fun. They're built very well and they're automatic. This is a great sort of watch to gift someone to get them into automatic watches, or just something for yourself as a bit of fun. So let's take a closer look at this one. And to finish off this week's episode, a great and fun watch from Timex. I love what they're doing with this range, and I just think these make fantastic gifts to get someone into watches, right? Because there's a lot of fun. You have the Snoopy connection. This one is the Secret Agent. But also when you flip it over, you have an exhibition case back and it's a mechanical watch. And I just think you're merging these worlds together, which is great for collectors like us who actually just find these things good fun and good value to enjoy, but also for people who are going to get into it. You know, I can imagine gifting something like this to my brother and him being fascinated with it and thinking it's really cool. And I think that's what this sort of range from Timex is going to be great for. Let me know what you think down in the comments, but I'm not going to bore you with the reference, super long reference, and it's a Miyota inside there, as you can see. And this one's from 2022 with its box and paperwork paired on its original strap, which as you can see, it has a signed buckle as well, but let's show it on wrist and taut dimensions. And there we go, comfortably on my 7-inch wrist. It's a good size, it's a really comfortable size, and again, not too small, not too big. The perfect sort of gift, in my opinion, as I've said multiple times now, but 40mm by 48mm lug to lug, only 13mm thick and 20mm on the lug. So go check out this watch on the website today, pick it up as a gift for a friend, a relative, whoever it may be, and I'm sure they'll love it. So there you have it, guys and girls. This week's drop, again, very, very varied. Truly something for everyone, I think. I think there'll be something definitely for you. Let me know down in the comments, what's your favourite from this week's drop? For me, it's a difficult one, but I think I'd have to go with the Grand Seiko or the Brunswick Brown, which will be no surprise. We actually have a big photo of it on the wall over there, this exact one on the brown suede. So yeah, it's obviously going to be a favourite from me, but there you go. So we'll see you all again next week. Take care, and we'll see you soon.